All right, I think we're ready to get started. Welcome, everyone, and we are really, really excited to bring you today our webinar from Dough to Dollars, how to maximize profitability with Push. Couple just quick housekeeping items as we get started. First off, my name is Cam Harold, and I'm the SVP of Revenue here at Push Operations. We are super excited to partner with Crumbl and be a preferred partner. I'm sure most of you are on here, heard the news last week, and yeah, we're just very excited to be a part of this Crumbl family. Second, if you have any questions, which I'm sure you will have questions along the way, please feel free to. We're going to have a section for questions at the end, but feel free to write them in, and we'll compile all the questions and we'll answer them at the end here. So quick agenda before we get started. I am going to introduce our fantastic panelists here. Right after that, we're going to go into a quick, brief summary on what Push is, if you're wondering. Going to go into a little bit of a fireside chat here with both Megan and Jared. We're going to talk about life before Push, life after Push, and then we're really going to open it up to some Q&A and questions at the end. So without further ado, I'm going to start by introducing our first panelist, which is Jared Blake. Jared is a co-owner of a Crumbl cookie in Concord, California, where he and his wife have built a high-volume, top-performing bakery from the ground up. With a background in industrial engineering and over a decade of program and project management experience, including consulting for multiple Fortune 500 companies at Microsoft, Jared applies his expertise in process improvement and operational excellence to streamline operations using Push. And welcome, Jared Blake. And we also have Megan Moore. Megan works for Zaw Hospitality with a lifelong passion for hospitality, people development, and guest experience. Megan began her career with Boston Pizza in 2008. She has played a key role in the company's growth. In 2015, she became a partner with Zaw Hospitality, which now operates 9 Boston Pizza locations across Alberta, Yukon, and the Northwest Territories. During the pandemic, Megan and her team worked tirelessly to diversify the business, securing a landmark deal to bring Crumbl cookies to Canada. We were very excited about that up in Canada. The excitement was unmatched, with lineups stretching 5 to 7 hours for months after opening. Zaw Hospitality has since expanded into Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen in Saskatchewan, is now preparing to introduce Freddy's Steakhouse and Frozen Custard. Today, the company employs over 800 staff members in all brands. So welcome to our panelists, and thank you both for being here today and talking a little bit about your experience with Push. So just really quickly, if you've never heard of Push, you don't know what Push is, I'm going to give you like a brief 30-second elevator pitch here. So best-in-class people management performance. So basically what Push is an all-in-one platform to help your people. So we are able to help you with everything from hiring, onboarding, forecasting, scheduling, tracking, payroll, and also reporting, all in one system, all in one platform. No integrations needed because it's built from the ground up. And we're going to talk quite a bit about this over the next couple of minutes. But really what Push is aimed to do is be built for the hospitality industry first. And our goal is to consolidate systems to make sure you don't have to have 3, 4, 5, 6 different systems, and you're able to do everything all in one platform. We want to make life as easy as possible for you. And that is our end goal, helping people do what they love and not do those administrative tasks. So jumping into life before Push, I'm going to call on our panelists here to answer a couple questions to describe what life was like before they start using Push. I know it's going to be very different because we have Jared, who's been using Push for like roughly a year maybe, but Megan for a whole lot longer. Definitely one of our original customers. But I'll start with Megan and then go over to Jared here. So before using Push, what were some of the biggest challenges you faced running your stores day to day?
So I will date myself here a little bit, but when I got into the hospitality industry, we were still at a time of doing schedules on paper. So we had zero analytics. It was our best gut feeling. And if you can imagine, we were probably not, optimizing our labor spend very, very well. So we had moved into the first sort of digital scheduling program. It was called Schedulefly. It was pretty, it was beautiful. It had all, it was pretty intuitive, very simple. Again, not great on analytics, but it gave us something. And we've always dealt with like a separate payroll provider. So this was before integration. It was just very, very, very clunky. We had a system or you know, a different provider for everything that we did, and nothing spoke to each other. So again, we were constantly inputting data into anything that we were using. Um, and at the end of the day, we really were not optimizing our labor, ease of use, time doing all these processes. So again, we started at the very beginning before there was even a lot of options out there. So yeah, before push looked a lot different.
It's awesome. Yes. Yes. Like I mentioned, you've been with Push for a long time and appreciate that. Jared, what about you? Life before Push, what were you kind of using? Some of the biggest challenges you had.
Yeah, no. Before Push, we came on and we were not in the hospitality industry before Crumbl. And so we went with Crumbl's recommendations, leveraging when I work, preferred payroll vendor that Crumbl would go with. And we were so focused on just making sure we had cookie availability, we really had a hard time even monitoring what we were doing. And so we ended up throwing as much staff at the issue that we could to be able to produce as much product. We were one of the first bakeries in the Bay Area of California. So we had customers driving in from 2 to 3 hours, just excited to get a product and being disappointed that we were being sold out. So we leveraged just be leaning on like what was recommended out the gate. But when we later got involved in looking at the P&L and different issues, we found that we were paying some employees 2 times for the same pay period. We found various mistakes, and we had our eye off the ball. And so we were thinking to ourselves, we have these trusted advisors that we're leveraging, but how do we get more insight into the mechanics between the timesheets and what's actually being paid out onto pay stubs so that we can make sure that it all flows, because nothing was aligning for us. We would see a labor percent in the crew app that wasn't the same in the one I work, and that wasn't the same on our P&L. And so we wanted to fully align it. And then in addition, it was just a complete lift to tackle recruiting and hiring employees, because there was one aspect of recruiting and hiring to fill the need of the labor. But then once we actually hired good talent to be able to get them into our respective systems so that they were plugged in and ready to go was a completely second chapter. And so for us, before Push, we were leveraging different systems and we had a hard time really seeing the entire picture.
Yeah, I can shamelessly say that I have also driven about 3 or 4 hours for a crumble cookie before they're out here in the Ottawa area where I am. So I understand. So was there like a specific moment that made you start looking for a new system? Because you both had systems, it sounds like, whether they were 100% meeting the needs or not. But was there like a moment where you're like, hey, I need to look for a new system, and then that kind of moment that said, oh, Push is maybe the one for me?
Megan, you want to go first?
Sure. So I will say that I will probably say it multiple times today because I think it is one of the most important aspects of Push is having this all-encompassing system. So there's a lot of good scheduling providers out there today, and I think, that game has stepped up quite a bit. Having payroll and scheduling service in the same platform, that's where the game changer is, truly. So I think when we started operating, and we're in Canada, so different provinces, we have different labor laws, we have different overtime laws, we have tons of different things that come into play. And the one thing that was just horrendous for us was these stat days and how we calculated stat pay. So whether an employee worked on that day or whether they worked, the last 5 or the last 9 weeks, and if they didn't take a day off, it was crazy. So we were working at these like manual calculations. Um, we finally got out of Schedulefly. We worked ourselves to like an Amigo platform. It was, again, great for scheduling, but then we were still doing all this manual labor to try to calculate from the scheduling service to what we needed to put on payroll. And then I think the second piece to that was like now uploading that into a payroll provider was so much room for error, because now we're teaching people how to like convert a file and a CSV and uploading it and then looking for all these mistakes. So yeah, I would definitely say that that was it for us. Like that was we need to have a better system to be doing and lessen room for error with having this all-encompassing system.
Yeah, for myself, I come from the software world and I spent many years consulting various companies on how to improve their business processes with different software solutions. And we live in this world where there's 1,000 ways to do the same task. And so I'm always looking for something better. But what was really my trigger was when California passed the amazing law of the fast food minimum wage of $20 an hour. And I had multiple meetings with Crumbl HQ saying, what can you do to help me save on costs? And they said, hey, we're beta testing Push in Canada, and they seem to love it. And I'm like, look, I'm willing to try anything. And I don't really care about an onboarding cost or the change, because I have this mentality of a lot of hard work up front for smoother operations later is going to be a better payoff by far. And so when we met with Push and saw that they were an integrated system between an applicant tracking system, it had the HR compliance system, as well as scheduling that rolls into payroll, I'm like, this is a singular system that I can manage my entire HR stack together. Now, there's always pros and cons to everything, and the scheduling might not be as pretty as when I work, but when I say that, the functionality far outpaces it. And I'm not trying to sell that it's not pretty, but at the same time, like I look at it from a life cycle perspective of an employee. And so when I go out to recruit an employee and the interactions and that employee's journey through that recruiting process, to be able to have those touch points and those standardized emails that I'm sending out, to be able to have an onboarding process completely digitalized, there's no part in my mental model that wants to have a single piece of paper. And so if I can digitize every single step of the way, and as Megan was speaking to, it doesn't matter how good or intelligent you are, we as humans are going to make mistakes and skip a step. And so how do we idiot proof and leverage Six Sigma to be able to bring in an employee and onboard them and then be able to have them manage through their performance reports is just something that resonates with my vision of running a business. And so after having several meetings, I said I want the full meal deal. I want the ATS, the applicant tracking system. I want the scheduling, the payroll. But then even at this time, I found out that we can do payroll on a weekly basis with no added cost. And everyone has a hard time budgeting, especially my workforce. So for them to be able to get a paycheck every single Friday is phenomenal. And then my benefit on that side is if I need to fire someone, it's pretty easy to round that up into a paycheck on Friday where it needs to be incredibly timely. And so that's what really triggered me to jump in and do the onboarding process into the Push system. And it's just been really helpful. And there's been a lot of surprises that I didn't know were going to be there along the way, which is helping me manage my break compliance in California for meal waivers.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, and really appreciate what both of you guys said there. And that's absolutely it, right? Like our main goal obviously is to make it as specific as possible for this industry, for the hospitality industry. And so when we've built this tool, again, our goal is just to make life simple, easy, and paperless for everyone, because this is an industry that does not need any more paper. That is for sure. So yeah, switching slides here after Push. So we just talked about kind of your experience before getting on Push and what that looked like even in the transition. But after moving to that all-in-one platform, we've talked about it, kind of hiring, scheduling, payroll, reporting. Maybe we'll start with Megan on this one. Has it changed the way you've run your business at all? And if so, how?
Sorry, need to unmute. Yeah, I would say a lot of people look at us like we're nuts, giving our managers so much autonomy. And quite honestly, push is very intuitive. It's very easy to work in. So it might not be as pretty, there might not be as many functions as when I work, but sometimes you get caught up in that. And sometimes it makes the system look like a little bit overwhelming. And with our management team, I mean, to back up one step, Push has like phenomenal training videos on everything that you could possibly want to do within the Push system. Um, so our staff is the ones that run our systems. Our managers run our payroll. I know that seems crazy to some FPs going, wow, you actually let your team do it. Well, all it is a push of a button. It's run payroll. That's it. That's what it encompasses. So if they're doing their time clocks and they're doing all the things that they should be doing to manage their schedule and to look after their time clocks, they can effectively run payroll. On the other side of that, we've had times where somebody didn't get paid or tip out wasn't loaded properly, or there's still room for human error in everything. It's super easy to retract, undo the payroll, do it again, fix that mistake. So, I mean, I think it's just allowed us to not only spend so much time, we've taken what we're good at. We're good at hospitality. We need to be in front of our guests. We need to be in the bakery. We need to be like making sure that we have like our cookies ready to go for the week. We don't need to be in the back. We don't even have offices at Crumbl, right? We're like stuck in this little quarter. So it's not even comfortable to spend more time than you need to doing any of these things. So I think really it's just streamline this part. This is not what we do. We work in bakeries. We get cookies. We got to get in front of guests. We're not administrators, so it's really taken that administration out of it, and it's really simplistic. And I think being an OG on the push side of things, I honestly think it's probably been like 8 years, maybe even long. I don't know. It's been like a long time. But the one thing that I'll give so much accolades to push for is they're always having an opening ear that if we as franchisees run into a pinch point that is a actual pinch point in our business, they take that, they will go back, they will recreate. Push today does not look like what Push did 8 years ago, but this is all based on the feedback that we've worked in a relationship with Push over these years. They've been open, they've listened, and they've modified the system to meet our needs. So yeah, I think today it's not that big of a deal for the scheduling side, for the payroll side, for the HR side, all of it. So, which is a great thing.
I appreciate that, Megan. And Jared, kind of same question. Has it changed at all the way you've run your kind of Crumbl franchise? And you mentioned compliance too, so maybe we can touch on that as well, because I know with California, there's a lot of different compliance laws there.
California is an amazing state. So, I want to echo what Megan was saying by the ability to collaborate with Push and be able to provide feedback. And I remember when I was using When I Work and I would leverage their support, and they were kind of like talk to the hand. And it's been completely different with Push, where Push is like, well, let's understand this more. How do you need this? Or what can we do? And one thing that I'm very excited for is Push's integration with Crumbl's POS to be able to pull in the sales data into the scheduling model so that we can actually leverage the POS and historical data and Push's algorithms to more accurately schedule trends that we're seeing with our historical data. So being able to have that information inside Push is very exciting for me. But how do I really leverage this and change my business? I say that it's allowed me to do what I've wanted to do originally, is to be able to run a paperless bakery. And so between onboarding documents and signatures, I've been able to be more consistent across the board with my employees. Instead of using OneDrive as a document repository for write-ups and then leveraging DocuSign for the I-9 forms when I'm going through that process. It's allowed me to consolidate down to one singular platform. So I don't have to play the bookmark game of, wait, where am I managing this? Or where is this information going? And specifically when I jump into compliance, it's allowed me to be more on top of it than I ever was before. I used to, in California, there's a lot of unique laws around breaks and being able to collect waivers. And there's different guidance you can adhere to, but in California, you have to collect a signed break waiver from an employee when they choose to waive their break between, X amount of hours and another. And then once you hit a certain threshold, they have to take a lunch break. And the way that we used to be able to do this was that during our onboarding process, we would have a blanket waiver that they would sign. But our advisement from our counsel was that this won't really stand up in a defensible argument. And so what Push was able to do with their time clock is that with these rules, they were able to customize it so that when an employee chooses to waive their break, they actually have a break waiver that's shown to them right there that they can sign on the iPad that's saved to their profile so that we have a historical record of it on that specific employee. And that to me has drastically reduced the risk of my lack of compliance around breaks. And it's also set that expectation. So it's allowed us to more consistently manage our breaks and collect those waivers. We've also been leveraging, and this is available on When I Work, but we weren't using it at the time, but be able to take pictures of who's clocking in to reduce the likelihood of time fraud. And we're really excited about leveraging some of the other features that have been untapped. It feels like Push has so many features that it's like opening up Photoshop for the first time. And it's like, look, all I want to do is remove the background. And there's 1,000 different buttons that I can configure. So luckily, I've got a coach that can help me leverage that feature set within Push to help enhance my business even further. And just this last week, I found out that I can actually take a performance improvement plan that I'm working with an employee and serve it up on the time clock for them to sign right there and be able to put back into their profile. So it's just another feature that delights me with being able to go paperless and have that information consolidated. So I've done a lot since where I was, but I still feel like there's more opportunities for me to even digitize my business more.
Awesome. Oh yeah, really, really appreciate that. Megan, you came off mute. Did you want to say something, or would you like me to go to the next one?
No, I just wanted to be able to not be on mute next time.
I appreciate it. Well, then we'll go with you next. Obviously, our big value prop is that we are this all-in-one platform. That has always been our goals, to do everything from people management end to end and really, really support our customer base. But if I made you pick one thing from the platform that's the number one feature, biggest difference maker for you, what would that be?
No, I don't like that question because it's the all-encompassing that makes it like so amazing. I would definitely say the schedule and the payroll functionality working together is, I mean, I love the HR side of it. To Jared's point, we make a DocuSign for everything now. We rolled out Soda in Canada. So we were instantly faced with this, okay, well, crew members get a free cookie, but now do they get a free soda, or do they get one or the other? And that, like all these things. So anyways, we had to come up with like a little bit of a policy. So we threw that out, and it's just as soon as they clock in, they see this, and then they have to sign it. Or Crumbl just made training not as in your face where you get locked out of your crew apps. So now we're like, oh man, now we're gonna have to be chasing. We love it, hate it as franchisees, love it for the staff, but now we're gonna have to be chasing the staff around to get their training. So now, as a message that pops up every time is, have you completed your training? If not, please take the 3 minutes to complete your training before you enter the floor. So I don't know. I guess I can't answer that question. I find the scheduling super intuitive. I find it, the ease of use is great. The payroll side of things needs the schedule to be that easy to use. So yeah, I like it all. Obviously, I've been around for a while.
No, I mean, can't hate that answer. That's a great answer. We appreciate that. Maybe for Jared here, because we heard Megan talk about the way that she's kind of changed the way that she manages and monitors a team. You're able to delegate that payroll, obviously, as a multi-unit, multi-franchise operator. Being able to delegate the payroll needs is definitely a huge one. But Jared, for you, is there any way that you've changed the way that you monitor and manage your team since switching over to Push?
That's a good question. We have downsized our team so that we have a smaller, high-performing team now at our bakery. And so I would say that with the weekly payroll, it allows us to more quickly adjust to provide our high performers with more hours while reducing our low performers hours. And we've seen that that quick turnaround for weekly payroll has allowed the low performers to have more of like a just in time consequential, you know, for their actions. And so we leverage that as a way to be able to coach and help. We've had a shift lead just this last week look at the schedule and say, hey, why do I only have 1 or 2 shifts and everybody else has more? And we're like, look, it's based off of your quarterly performance report. This is not about, you're saying it's not fair, but it's fair based off of your performance. So I think having those objective conversations is really impactful for us, and just being able to have it seem more seamless. It's like sometimes when you have things set up, there's not much to talk about because things work as expected. And so it's just part of our pattern now where we build the schedule inside Push. My wife takes on that burden, and so she's the one building it. She's typically copy and pasting it from the previous week and then adjusting it depending on people's performance. And then every single day, she's checking on how did we do on labor the previous day, approving time cards. And so when it comes to running payroll, it's just clicking a button because all the work's been done. And so I think just that automation and just how we built that into our daily routine has been super impactful as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And going to go one last question for the both of you here, if you can share, and then we're actually going to jump into a demonstration of Push, just a short demonstration. But if you can share, and maybe you can't, but if you have any growth plans over the next, I know you're both very ambitious. If you have any growth plans over the next couple of years, how do you see Push kind of helping you with those growth plans?
I'll start since I'm off mute, and then I'll go back on mute. We're actively growing. I would say that I think a lot of FPs in the Crumbl world are involved in other businesses. So just a little bit on the multi-unit side of things right now, there is a piece of Push called the Enterprise Dashboard. So I use this functionality. I have all of my stores, all of my brands on Push. So it's super effective to be able to jump in between brands really easily. If I want to see sales in Crumbl versus sales in Popeyes or sales in Boston Pizza, like I can look at those all-encompassing numbers. I can pull reports that are for the brands, brand specific. I can send out communication to every single employee that works for me in 6 seconds and know that it hits them, whether it's through, I can pick an email, I can pick a text message, I can pick upon login to any single one of my brands. So we plan to be a hospitality company that continues to bring on, the most loved hospitality brands and that's what we're good at. But I think what we do is we layer on these systems and procedures over top, and Push I would consider like one of our core systems to how we operate in a hospitality group. So this is our HR system now, this is our scheduling system, this is our, doesn't matter what brand. So Push looks after all of our brands. The other thing I just want to touch on super duper quick, because I do think it's this important before we go off to you guys showing us more about the actual platform. But I want to say that our staff this has been like voted #1 choice by our staff. This is where they can see their schedule, they can see their paychecks, they can request their vacation time off, they can have a swap shifts if they'd like. They can request vacation pay. At the end of the year, their tax forms come. So it's all encompassing to them, which is super duper duper important. It also takes a lot of stress off our backs when they're like, oh, I didn't get my pay stub, or where do I get this, or my tax forms, I don't know, did they come in the mail, did you email them to me, I don't know my password for my email. So like that all encompassing one app, very easy, intuitive for them to use. So I would say like it's what's good for us is super duper important, but it's also really, really, really well received from our staff. And they would be lost without this at this point. So I do think it's like it's, we're sharing that part of push as well.
Awesome. Awesome. Thanks, Megan.
Yeah.
Jared, growth plans?
Always looking to grow. So we're looking at a different concept right now that we've signed an area development agreement with. And so we're just really excited to have Push as a platform that we're going to be leveraging, and know that Push is like, I reached out to them and said, hey, do you guys integrate with, so-and-so's POS? And there's not an integration right now, but there's interest to integrate. So it's not just a closed conversation, but hey, as I'm growing into different brands, even if there's not an existing integration, Push's development team is interested in building those integrations. And so I know that it's something I can count on, and those standardizations can then not only exist with my existing business in Crumbl, but in my future businesses as well. So I don't have to relearn something or learn some idiosyncrasies of a different system of what works in one but doesn't work in another. So really looking forward to growing and leveraging this as a core HRMS system.
Awesome. Yeah, and we really appreciate that. I know, obviously, like any of you guys, we're trying to grow as well as a company. And one of our favorite ways, and honestly, one of the ways that means the most to me is when our customers bring us into their other brands, or they refer us into other businesses. That is just kind of our gold star, to know that we're heading down the right track and we're doing things the right way. So really appreciate that, both of you. So quickly going to jump into actually a demonstration here of the product, just for everyone to see here. We'll run about 10 minutes. But a couple things, or a couple notes around Push's impact. And these are numbers that we've gathered up from our customers over time. Actually, one of these are from Megan. She confirmed yesterday as well. So love to see that. But on average, we're seeing about 12 hours of saving around our scheduling, around the payroll setup, compared to other vendors that customers use before they came over to Push. An average of 3% savings on labor costs. This is where we really, really, really pride ourselves, is how do we help you run a more efficient business? And it's about labor optimization. It's not just about scheduling the least amount of people that you can have, but it's about scheduling the right people at the right time to make sure that you keep that really high quality customer service, but you're not overstaffing in areas that you don't have to. You're not overpaying. You're not paying overtime where you don't need to. And that's one of our biggest ones, is how can we help you save on labor? Labor is one of the highest and most controllable things that everyone on this call probably has in order to be more profitable. One-click payroll processing. I think Megan said it earlier. It's just one click. We're able to maybe delegate this out, not to just someone that is very high up in your business, but maybe just a manager or someone at the stores. So being able to have very quick, very easy payroll with no errors. And then compliance and onboarding. Again, zero error on onboarding. We have worked with customers who, I heard one time that they had a problem where they had a new GM and they did a summer hire, and all of a sudden they didn't have banking information for 50 people who needed to get paid by 6 o'clock. And that's the things we're trying to solve, making sure that digital onboarding process, you're gathering banking information, you're gathering the forms before they even start with you, before they're even scheduled. So we can eliminate all those errors. You're not chasing people down for hours and hours. So some of the impact that we've seen from our customers, again, these are live statistics that come right out of the mouth of our customers, and just wanted to share that with the group here. But now, without further ado, we're just going to jump into a quick demonstration from Amy Young.
Hi, everyone. Okay, so I'm excited to show you how this works. So for the next part, I'm actually going to hand it over to past Amy. So just like how we run through our features through quality assurance, I actually ran this demo through a little glitch assurance just to ensure that there's nothing glitchy that's going to happen. So I did record it ahead of time. But however, once we do wrap up this webinar, if you'd like to dive deeper and have a personalized walkthrough, I'd love to connect with all of you guys after webinar. Thanks so much. Enjoy. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining our webinar. My name is Amy, and I'm the Senior Account Executive here at Push Operations. So today I'll give you a quick overview of the Push platform. And after the webinar, please feel free to reach out to me so we can book in some time and just chat about your specific business and how we can help you. So let me just share my screen with you now. What I'll do for my demo is I will run through the life cycle of an employee. So I'll start off with how they apply for a job, to then how they onboard, get scheduled, and get paid. You can just see how the whole system flows within Push. So within our applicant tracking side of things, you can create a new job posting. We integrate with Indeed, the 86 network, as well as with LinkedIn. So if you use any of those accounts, just let us know. You'll create the job posting here, and it'll just be automatically transferred to those accounts as well. It will also give you a URL link and a QR code. So you can post a URL link on social media, careers page on the website, or any other job posting sites. And the QR code is just great if you do have any walk-ins. They can just scan a QR code and still apply online instead of handing over a paper resume. At the bottom here, you can set certain parameters that you want the applicant to qualify for. So say, for example, you're looking to hire a manager that has 2 years of experience managing people. If they have that experience, this resume will be for you to review. But if they don't, you can just automate a response saying, thank you for applying, but unfortunately, it's not going to work out with us at this time. And then once people start applying, you would just keep track of them here in the candidate dashboard. So you have the name, what position they applied for, when they applied, and the current status of their application. Click into the name, it'll give you all the information they submitted. So you have the resume, their cover letter. You can write any notes that you want to remember about them. Interviews, you can create interview templates. So it's just consistent and asking the same questions for each position, and then writing down what the answers were there so you can review that in the future. History will tell you based on the same email how many times this person has applied in the past, and work history will tell you if they worked there before. And this can be helpful if you do have, say, multiple locations. You can see if an employee had worked at a previous location in the past, see if they were good or not before rehiring them back into the company. And with your messages, instead of using your own email to correspond with a whole bunch of candidates and have them bombard your email, just do it through a platform to keep things more organized for you. And of course, you know that this correspondence is linked directly to a specific candidate. Once you're ready to offer them a job, we have a digital offer letter. So you can create as many offer letter templates as you wish. Choose one you want to use. It will populate it here, and you can update any of those variables. So you can say when their job start date is, it adds in automatically. If this offer had an expiry date, as well as assign a signing manager. Once you're happy with this offer letter, you just save and preview. If you're happy with that, it will show up here. If you're happy with that, just send off of your email. It'll then go through this process of first say send to a manager for them to sign off on it. Then it'll automatically go to the candidate for them to sign it as well. Once they've signed it, you just get an email notification that you have this signed offer letter. And then anytime before they start their first shift, you can send them this email for them to start their onboarding. So they will click here to start their Push account, put in their personal details, so name, phone number, address, that sort of thing. They can also put in their availability. Employee attributes is customizable, so if you need any specific information from them, you can request that in there. You can also ask them to take a screenshot of any certificates or anything like that, and everything in the employee attributes will be in the employee files. How they get paid, direct deposit, or have a check issued to them. Of course, if they do choose direct deposit, we get the banking information and the void check, so you can just double check that it's correct. They will verify here everything they entered in earlier is accurate. And then lastly, we have all the forms. So we do have a PDF upload in the system where you can upload any plain PDF document and make it into a fillable format. So for example, your W-4s can be in here. They'll have to digitally sign off on it. And then anything else that you want to include in here, like the Crumbl NDA form or your employee handbook or anything else, just put it all in here. It is mandatory for the new employee to complete everything in onboarding before they can start clocking in on it for the first shift. So just a great way to prevent you guys from having to chase people down for all their documents if you're doing payroll in, say, 2 weeks' time. From there, I will continue on with our clocking in and out. So there's 2 options here. Either you have a tablet on site where employees are clocking in with their tablet, or you can allow them to clock in with their mobile apps. I recommend that you guys have physical locations to just have a tablet on site so you know they're clocking in and out at work and not on the way to work. Every employee will have their own 4-digit code. They'll punch in their clock in, they'll see their scheduled time, the time they're actually clocking in or out from, and the position they're supposed to be doing. You can also write any notes down there as well. Next, we have our messages, and you can customize these messages to be either sent to all employees or maybe just employees at one location or one person, but they see this when they're clocking in. They could also see this as a message on the employee app, as well as to their email as well. And next we have our survey questions, and this is completely customizable, but just a great tool for you if you have any questions to ask your employees. And this can be prompted either when they're clocking in or out from their shift. And lastly, we have our photo feature. So the main reason for this is just to prevent buddy punching. So a coworker punching in for a friend because they're running late, and then now they're clocked in. So say you updated a company policy, you've sent it to your employees for them to review, but you want them to sign off on a form to acknowledge this new policy. The next time they clock in, they'll punch in their 4-digit code. They will see that there's an outstanding form for them there. Read the acknowledgement of the new update, sign off on it, and now you have a signed form. It's going to be in the employee profiles, and you don't have to chase them down for it. And then from there, I will continue on in our clock settings. So anytime employees are working logging limit scheduled, that's going to be costing you more money, and you just want to be aware of it. So in terms of allowing your employees to clock in a few minutes earlier, you can set however many minutes that is, but you can say that either you don't pay them with the actual scheduled time, or you do pay them whichever times they clocked in from. So say you choose scheduled, and I'm scheduled for at 10 o'clock, but I clocked in at 9:55. Since you chose scheduled, I'll just get paid starting at 10 o'clock. However, say you're short-staffed and you ask them to come an hour earlier. They can still come in earlier and clock in. There's an option here if you choose to flag for manager approval, and that's just for you to double check that's something that you asked them to do and not because they're trying to get paid an extra hour. And same thing goes if they clocked out late as well. There's an option here to flag for manager approval if they clocked out later. Again, just to double check, and not because maybe they did finish shift, but chit-chatting some coworkers, they totally forgot to clock out and do it half an hour later. But of course, you guys can set these settings to whatever fits your needs. I just always recommend a little bit of flagging because that is going to go over your labor budget, and you just want to be fully aware of that. And from there, within our clock approvals, this will essentially tell you if there is any discrepancy between the scheduled time versus the actual clocking in and out time. If it matches and is exactly the same, there's no need for you to do anything. It will just be automatically approved and sent to payroll. So this is an example of what it looks like. You just see a green dot, which means they're approved already. So in this example with Joey, he was scheduled from 9 to 5. He also clocked in 9 to 5. That is exactly the same. So this will just be automatically saved and sent to payroll. However, if there is a discrepancy, you just see an orange dot here. So that just means it's not approved, something for a managed review. And then in this example with Rachel, she was scheduled from 11:07, said that it wasn't busy, so she left early. She ended up leaving at 6. And then as a manager, yep, that's correct, she did. Just click or use clock times. It will update the hours that she worked, hit save. Those hours are then saved and sent to payroll. If you ever need to manually adjust anyone's clock entry, come in here to edit, make the change in the time, write a reason of why you made that change so you can remember. And we also have this history of change as well. So if you do have maybe a few different managers that might have access to the push platform to make changes in employee hours, you can see who's made a change in someone's hours in the past. So if there is anything weird happening, everything is tracked within the system. Clock approvals will also be available for you on your own manager app as well. So you and any manager can download this app. You can see here if there's any pending clock approvals, click into there and just do your approvals straight on your phone as well. You can also do any shift approvals on your phone as well. So if any employees want to switch shifts, that can be approved there as well. And we are currently working with the Crumbl dev team right now in terms of integrating with the POS system. So once that is finalized, we can pull in your sales. So right on your phone, you can keep track of the sales versus the labor, and that should be updated every 15 minutes for you as well. And of course, if you do have multiple locations, you can easily just toggle between each of your different locations up here as well. So you can easily see how each store is doing right on your phone. Once all your employee hours are approved and it's time to process payroll, it's going to be super easy for you. Just go to this payroll tab here, choose your next payroll cutoff date, hit run payroll, and we are a full-fledged pay provider. So we do all your tax deductions, all the remittances to the government. You'll see here your state deductions. This is a net pay of your employees. Right-hand side are your total payroll costs for you as well. We can do direct deposit, or you can issue your own checks to your employees. or you can ask us to issue checks on your behalf as well, and we'll just courier it over to you. Click into any employee. It does scroll down to the payroll stub, and you can just double check that everything looks good. Once you have reviewed everyone's payroll stubs and you're ready to process payroll, just hit this green approve payroll button, and then we'll start working on it. So if they are getting paid by direct deposit, we do need 4 business days. So for example, if you want them paid out on Friday, just hit the approve payroll button by Monday afternoon, and then we'll make sure they're paid out by Friday. If you ever need to add or deduct anything on top of the normal wages, for example, like adding in tips, or you want to do a reimbursement, or if you're offering benefits, you want to do a benefits deduction, for example, you would choose a corresponding preset that you're working on right now. Frequency can be one time or something that is recurring, who the employee is, the amount, and that'll just be added or see deduction deducted off their next payroll. And then lastly, we do integrate with a few different bookkeeping softwares like QuickBooks Online as well as with Xero. So if you are using any of those, just let us know. We turn on the integration in the back end. And for every pay run history, you have your journal entries, and once you click the button, the journal entry will just be automatically transferred to your QuickBooks Online or Xero account. And from here, I will continue on with how you will schedule your employees. So right here, you can turn on your costs. So with your labor costs, you can really customize on what you're viewing. It just gets updated right up here. So as you do schedule your employees in, your labor costs would just be updated. Sales will be pulled in through the Crumbl POS system, again, once that has been finalized. And so if you currently have a forecasting formula, for example, some clients do like the average sales of the last 4 weeks to schedule for this week, or same time last year for this year, that sort of thing. Just let us know what your formula is. We can put that into the back end, and the system will essentially tell you how many people you should be staffing for that day based on how your sales have been in the past. We also have this sales heat map for you as well. So again, based on your forecasting formula, with the dark green, it will tell you when your busier hours are going to be versus your not so busy hours. So you can look at this and staff accordingly to this as well. And then lastly, we have our real-time sales. So here you can set whatever interview you want it to show, but it gives you the breakdown of your sales versus your actual labor every 30 minutes. And then we have a further breakdown here for you as well. So just a lot of tools to keep track of your sales versus labor, just to make sure you're on track. When you are ready to schedule, really straightforward. So if you do have say a typical schedule for the week, you can actually save it as a template, and you can just easily just load up that template. So I'm just going to choose my regular schedule here, load template, and then I have my schedule. You can do a very easy copy and paste, as well as drag and drop for other shifts as well. And then also within each shift, you can also customize them further as well. You can create any tags. You can do as many customized tags as you wish. And you can also write any comments down here as well, so that the employee will just get more details on their specific shift. If you also want to copy the schedule, you can. So once you created this schedule, you can easily just copy the exact same thing from this week to next week as well. Or we can do a custom date range as well. And then if the screen in the red here, that is also the employee availability. So every employee can update their availability on the own employee app as well. So this is what an employee app will look like. Essentially, they can see their schedule, they can see everyone's schedule, update their availability, request for time off, see how many hours of work in pay period, switch shifts, see their files, their pay stubs, and we have an employee chat feature as well. So when they update their availability, it does be approved by a manager, and then it'll show here for your reference. If employees say want to switch shifts, they can also see who's available for them to switch with on the employee app. And then once that second person accepts it, it does be approved by a manager. So this is just an example of Chandler. Say he wanted to switch with Joey for a doctor's appointment. When you click into this eye here, it gives you a cost analysis. So say, for example, as a result of this shift change, Joey working overtime, that's going to cost you more money, or maybe Joey's hourly rate is a lot higher than Chandler's, also going to cost you more money that day as well. So just a great way to give you that information, and you can just make a more informed decision. And so, yeah, that's just a really quick overview on our Push platform. Of course, it's very high level. So please feel free to reach out to me so we can book in some time and I can go into anything else in more detail with you. And I do really look forward to meeting all of you. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Awesome. Thank you, Amy, for that demonstration of the Push platform. We're going to wrap up here in a couple minutes. I am just going to go into a couple questions that we did receive in the chat. If you do have any questions that you've thought of, please feel free to put them in the question and answer chat now, and I'll answer them openly here. Also, just quickly too, you can see Amy's email on the screen there. If you do want to contact Amy and get a more detailed demonstration, obviously this is extremely high level. There's a lot to go into. You can reach out to Amy. We'll also be following up with this entire group on the webinar too. So if you don't want to email Amy, you will receive something from us as soon as this webinar is over. So a couple quick questions here, starting at the top. How much time do you spend on scheduling payroll, et cetera, weekly? What is the pricing? What are the payroll cutoff times? And what is dedicated support? So a couple questions in one here. First, Jared was able actually to answer into this on how much you spend on scheduling payroll on a weekly. Jared said he spent about 1 hour. So you can use that as a general reference. I don't know, Megan, if you want to say how much time you spend?
The same, yeah.
About 1 hour. Perfect. What is the pricing? I'm happy because there's a couple questions here on pricing. Happy to share on pricing. We do have very exclusive pricing to Crumbl as being a preferred partner. The additional to that is where you a lot of times will see savings with Push is that we are that all-in-one platform. So if you're using multiple vendors, obviously everyone has to make a profit. We do have the ability to have a little bit of a lower profit margin because we're offering you the all-in-one. So it's $4 per employee per month for the payroll side of the business. That is everything you'll ever pay. So it will never change. That is per month, not per pay run. You can run payroll as much as you want. You can offboard and onboard as many people as you want. And there's no extra cost for end of year. It is a flat rate price. Additionally to that, based on how many employees you have, but if you are under 35 employees per location, it is $120 per location flat fee. And that is for the applicant tracking, onboarding system, and scheduling all mixed into one. So everything you're seeing here will be $120 and $4 per employee. Payroll processing time. Amy did mention it on that demonstration there. It is roughly four-day payroll processing time. However, I am excited to share that we are going to be able to reduce that down to a single-day payroll processing time by January. So we are changing some of our infrastructure on the back end that will allow one-day payroll processing time. What does dedicated support look like as these questions keep coming in? We do have a fantastic and very big support team, but being a Crumbl franchisee, we also have a dedicated Crumbl specific customer success manager. Funny enough, her name is also Amy. She will be the face of Push for you, and she is very, very immersed in the Crumbl brand. And so she will be able to help you. You will have a direct point of contact that you can call or email. And again, she is only working with our Crumbl franchisees. Next question, cost. Did mention that. For payment method, can you auto force direct deposit? You absolutely can. You do not have to offer checks. We also do have a partnership for pay cards if that's something that you use today as well. Can we send you the video? Would love to show your managers. Absolutely, we can absolutely send this video out. I do believe in the follow-up we'll be able to send out this video, but if not, we will send it to you all directly. Can you postpone signing documents when clocking in? What is the timeline for sales to be integrated with the POS? Can you postpone signing documents when clocking in? So you can have documents signed on clock in or on clock out, but you can make it mandatory or bypassable. So you can make sure that that document will be signed when they clock in or when they clock out, depending on your setting. But you can also make it so that it's there for them to reference, but they can bypass it as well. So that is a setting within Push. This question is particularly speaking to what you saw on the clock in, where if you do need a document sent out to some of your employees or all of your employees, and you're trying to figure out how do I chase them down? How do I get them to sign this document? Sometimes it takes weeks, months. You got to track who signed it, who's not. We can assure you by putting it on the clock in or clock out that that document will be signed by everyone's next shift. What is the timeline for sales to be integrated from the POS? On Monday, we will have an exact timeline for that. It is something being worked on by both Push and Crumbl right now. And we have a very exciting meeting with the team to get the exact rollout timeline. Feels like it's going to be very soon. Next question on here, is there a way to automate tip allocation as an extra dollar per hour for tipped employees for system requiring manual entry for tips? Yes. So for the tip piece, we do have two really great functionalities for tip. We do support tip credit in every state. So if you do have that tip credit rule where you're tipping up to the minimum wage, but if that's not there, we need to tell you how much you owe to that employee. We do support that across all the different states. We also do have a tip automation feature within Push that Amy will be happy to show you. You're able to allocate the tips that are coming in. Right now, you'll have to enter the tips that you get on a daily basis manually, but as soon as we have that integration with Crumbl POS, that will be a fully automated system where you can allocate the tips accordingly to your employees. And I believe that is the end of our questions, and we're almost right at time. So again, I want to thank Megan and Jared for taking so much time out of their day to come and speak on their experience with Push. Thank you guys so much. You're always so fantastic to work with. And, you know, we absolutely have loved having you guys as customers. Thank you for Amy for putting together the demonstration. And thank you everyone for coming. Again, if you want to reach out to Amy, you can, but we will also be following up with everyone after the webinar. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day.